Hello, this is Max Level EDC, and what you see before you are some of my favorite multi-tools that are really just trying to be tools. They're not, something you access quickly. They just have the right implements. The problem is they don't do everything by themselves, right? I mean, for instance, you have the KF4. It has wonderful, wonderful tools, but it doesn't lock, it doesn't have a pocket clip, and it doesn't have scissors. You have the side clip, which is just an awesome, awesome multi-tool with a great set of functions, but no one-handed blade, right? And no scissors, and no file, and no saw, right? Then you have the Victorinox Spirit. And I would say this is mostly a complete tool, but it is missing two things in my opinion. It is missing a diamond file, potentially a better scissor, depending on your opinion on it, and a one-handed blade. Now I've obviously fixed the pocket clip issue, but whatever else you do want to add to this, whether it's a one-handed blade, you want to make sure it does have a pocket clip. Alright? And the Leatherman Crunch, probably one of my favorites. Once again, missing a diamond file, missing a saw, missing a pocket clip, missing a one-handed blade. As far as an accompaniment to this, none of these really are solved by a Victorinox multi-tool. So what do? Well, enter the Leatherman knives. Now each one of these, with the exception of one, are components made up of Leatherman multi-tools. This came from a Surge, this came from a Skeletal CX, this came from a Charge TTI. Now this one is, with the exception, this one is from the Multi-Force made by Ozark Trail. And I want to get into each one briefly, but I want to just talk mostly about how you complement your tools. And instead of buying a custom Victorinox multi-tool that maybe doesn't fully get there, but also costs 4 times as much, maybe you want to build one of these yourself. So we'll talk about how we do that, what you need for it, and yeah, and go from there. So first thing, let's start with my favorite and easiest to access one. And that's actually, funny enough, it's the Multi-Force. This has such a great tool set, and unlike these others, because it uses a what's it called? A slip joint retention for the plier head and the same size pivots on both sides, you can put every internal component from the multi-tool in one side, right? So I have my rulers, I have my saw, I have my straight blade, right? I have my flat, my bottle opener, can opener / wire stripper, which by the way, I love this wire stripper. It's even better than the one on the Leatherman. And then it has a full 1/4" hex. No joke. Now this is ball detent, but you could easily put a magnet in to fix it. And then it has this scissor. And here's the crazy part. This is a better scissor than anything Leatherman has made. No joke, this actually has cut better than everything I've tested with the exception of the Surge. That's how good this scissor is. And you get all of this, and the multi-tool, and the pouch, and the bit extender, and everything for $37. And that's assuming you can't find any coupons for Walmart, which is where this comes from. So, highly, highly recommended. It even comes with a pocket clip. Now the pocket clip's not oriented the right way. I would love to have it on this side, but it's not the end of the world. They're certainly the least expensive of all of these options, and possibly the best complement to almost any multi-tool that you can think of. Now, let's get into the more specific ones. Now this, I've done a lot of work to. It was a serrated blade that I made into a straight blade. It's not a great job, and I do need to fix it, but turns it into this sort of chip knife kind of situation. And this was sort of a wood crafting thing that I was trying to make. So I made a serrated blade into a straight blade. I made a larger bottle opener, can opener into a draw knife. I made a file into an awl, and I made another bottle opener into a chisel in multiple directions. I mean, this was a lot of metal work. But you can do whatever you want with it, right? If you have the time, you can go for it. And the cool thing about all of the wave style stuff is you can all use a pocket clip with them, which is pretty nice. So it comes in, comes off, as you see fit. All right. Now, when you get into a bigger size, you get access to one of the best scissors on any multi-tool that exists, and that's the Leatherman Surge. But you could just as easily put the T-shank exchanger in here, and then also have a very nice blade. Nice and robust, great handle, very comfortable. And then on the inside, there's actually enough room for the bit exchanger and any of the other implements. It actually is big enough to accommodate one additional implement as well, fully. What you choose is up to you. But what I would always suggest is finding a used one of these. Any case we're talking about Leathermans, get a used one and then modify that one. Now, this is one of my most recent additions, and this was a pretty cool discovery. So I found out that this is the perfect pivot size for the internal implements on most of the mid-size multi-tools. But the only exception is you have to find ones that are curved like this. You could see that little bump. So it has to sort of match up. So you can use the scissors from the Wave or Blast. I would get the Blast because it's very cheap, right? You can use this, the Phillips. You can use the can opener. You can use some of the flatheads as well. So you can get a lot of different things in here in this same width. I think for most people the scissor and maybe one other implement is going to be perfect. And this is actually a pocket clip that you can buy separately from Leatherman for their wingman. So you have a pocket clip, one-handed blade. Now you don't have to have this tip, okay? But you basically get that locking bit exchanger in addition to everything else. So this is great, and it's also the lightest and smallest by a pretty far margin. You know, see what I mean? Quite narrow and small compared to these. So this one in particular I really love. And these kinds of things, they really complement well with all of these other multi-tools or any of the other multi-tools that are not easily one-hand accessible. So think about this and maybe make one yourself. Now, the one I obviously recommend is starting with the Ozark Trail. You're not going to need many tools to do it. It doesn't require security torques. I think this is a T17 and this is a T9. I want to say T9. All right. So you're going to need two of each, but certainly easy to do. And it's a great tool to get started on modding, and with just a little bit of modification you can even make this 1/4 inch bit holder magnetic so that it'll work with any bits. So there you go. That's just a little bit of a talk today, talking about multi-tool knives. Lots of options, lots of different things I haven't even shown, and they're really up to you. And the thing is unlike the Victorinox, which are peened like the KF4, these are all capable of being undone and even reassembled. So even though I've used this, the Skeletool CX, it would be very easy for me to put it back exactly as I found it, put it back with the rest of its components, and yeah, it goes back to being what it was. So I hope you enjoy this. You have a great Christmas, and we'll talk soon.